The nasal cavity, the pharynx, and the larynx make up the upper respiratory tract. This is where we concluded the previous part. Now it's time we have a look at the lower respiratory system. As the air passes down the larynx, it has to travel far across many junctions in the between. First junction is the tract. Here, this is also called the windpipe. This is slender muscles pipe that lies just below the larynx. It usually makes up the throat region and extends till the fifth thoracic vertebra. This it gets divided into two branches. The trachea is surrounded by the rings of cartilage. It is a hyaline cartilage that surrounds the windpipe, which gives both strength and the flexibility to the trachea muscles. If the structure is observed from the dorsal view, then cartilage rings are found to be incomplete. That is, they are in C shape and do not form a complete ring like structures. This helps in easy contraction of muscles when the food is passed down the esophagus, like just behind the trachea. At the point where the trachea is about to terminate, it's the next junction that arrived. This is called the bronchus. As we can see here, bronchus acts like an entry point in the lungs. It gets divided into bronchioles or the branches bronchioles. Right mean bronchus and left mean bronchus, which is right and the left by the V. Well, here we are referring to the structure with the respect to the human body that has the system. In other words, if this individual standing in the front of you, then this is the right and this is the person's left side. Similarly, here this is the right and this is the left main bronchus. Getting back, the bronchi enters the respective lungs to get further divided into the bronchioles. Now, before we talk about the lungs and the surrounding protective case, let's continue with the bronchioles. The terminal structure. The bronchioles are these smaller roots-like structures that are present inside the lungs. These ultimately leads to the bundle of these tiny sacs. Any idea what are these structures that appear like the cluster of the grapes? Well, these sacs form the basic units of respiratory system. They are the actual sites of gaseous exchange, that is the exchange of oxygen and the carbon dioxide between the lungs and the blood, occurs in the alveoli. These structures are also called as alveoli. One single ball like this one is called alveolus. Any idea why these alveoli have these several spherical balls like structures? Why is not a single alveolus a complete ball, while many smaller balls helps in increasing the surface area? Imagine this single ball. Suppose it the surface area of x meter required. Now if the same volume of occupied 25 small balls, it's obviously that surface area will increases by the many folds. Similarly here as well, the number of the smaller structures make sure that the surface area increases, the maximum surface get available for the gaseous exchange. If we zoom in to see a single alveoli, we find that the cluster is this, right, richly supplied with the blood capillaries. A cross-section view of single alveolus has to us to understand that is very thin and composed of a single-celled memory, and the extremely thin membrane helps in very easy exchange of gases between the alveolus and the RBCs flowing through the blood capillaries. The process of the gas exchange occurs by diffusion. So oxygen that has come to this alveolus gets diffused across the membrane and is grabbed by RBC. Once this is done, the carbon dioxide also gets into the alveoli via diffusion, and this carbon dioxide travels back the complete tract to reach the nostrils and the move out of the body. This is how the gases exchange occurs in each alveoli. Now that we know how the components of the respiratory system present inside the lungs work, let us focus on the lungs and the other remaining component of the lower respiratory tract. In lower respiratory tract, lungs, rib cage and the diaphragm.